I'm standing here in front of Fort Jefferson in the Dried Tortugas, the southernmost part of the continental United States. Originally, the construction started in 1845 and was finally completed in 1875, but it was interrupted by the Civil War, and you can see that the browner lower bricks changed to redder bricks on the upper tier. The upper tier was actually completed during the Civil War when bricks from the south, from the Confederacy, couldn't be obtained. So the fortress originally had a complement of 1,500 guns. It never really had even a third of that. And technological change in big guns, mostly developed during the Civil War, meant that fortresses like this were obsolete. Artillery technology changed greatly during the Civil War, from muzzle-loading cannons and rifles to breech-loading weapons with explosive projectiles. And the Union Navy reduced all similar forts like this that were a threat on the Confederate Atlantic coast, just by pulverizing them with the big guns. And the same thing would have happened to this fort, which was always in Union hands. And you can see, in fact, the upper layer of red bricks was built during the Civil War from bricks from the Union, from Maine, because they couldn't obtain bricks from the Confederacy. So technological change meant that forts like this were obsolete, and after the 1870s, it was no longer manned and essentially abandoned. Standing in front of the magazine at Fort Jefferson, you can see there's about an 8-foot thick brick arch over the magazine where they kept the powder and the projectiles. And this is so that if there's any plunging fire or any shell fire hits it, the magazine will be protected. Yeah, I think they were firing mostly solid shot, not explosive shot. I don't know. How do you get down in that doorway? I'll see if I can find a way. This is a smoothbore Rodman cannon, and the Rodman, the designer, actually contoured the barrel to follow the strength of the explosion through the barrel. So at the thickest point, that's where the explosive pressure is greatest. And as it exits the barrel, as it expands, it becomes thinner. And I guess they minimize the steel they use in the barrel that way. But it's old technology, it's muzzle loading, it's a big hunk of steel, 50,000 pounds worth of steel. In fact, on the end of the barrel, it says to the pound exactly the weight of each cannon. You can read it on the muzzle. This is a 10-inch Parrott gun. It's a muzzle-loading rifle. You can see the rifling here in the barrel. That imparts a spin to the projectile, making it much more accurate and allowing greater barrel pressure and longer range. They only made, well, there's only 12 of these in existence now. This is the 24th one made. It was made in 1865. There's a serial number here. And of 12 in existence, there are 4 here in this fort. Parrott, the designer of this gun, and you can see his initial here is here on the trunnion. This is a ring which was shrunk on to the barrel. In other words, it's a 2-piece construction. The ring was shrunk on to reinforce and strengthen the barrel because of the higher barrel pressures with the rifling. And simple but effective construction. This is another 15-inch Rodman smoothbore cannon. It weighs 49,644 pounds. It was manufactured in 1877. It's mounted on a reproduction mount because all of the guns were salvaged from this fort and scrapped. But a few of the big ones on the upper ramparts, they couldn't recover. It was just too difficult, so they left them behind. That's why these ones are still here. You can see how all of the movable parts on this mount all have holes in them, so you can stick pry bars in to move the gun around. On the after end of the gun here, there's holes for mounting pry bars so you can elevate it or depress it, and it just moves around on these rings. Of course, it's too heavy for me to budge. Being 50,000 pounds, that's a lot of inertia.